So, okay, so we're here. I'm going to mute you. So just unmute yourself or ask, raise a hand or whatever if you want to get unmuted. All right. Hello. This is our Greece retreat meeting. I'm Judy. And if you don't know me very well, I'll tell you a little bit about myself and why I think this trip is tailored for me and why I'm so excited to share it with you. I own the Balance Pilates and Yoga Studio in Cape May, and I'm heading into my 19th season with that. Hard to believe, but I've been there that long teaching yoga and Pilates. And I ran my first retreat a long time ago. And I was pregnant with my daughter. I led a retreat to Italy in the northern part. It was a Pilates studio inside of a villa that had an indoor pool. And we did a whole bunch of excursions to festivals, and we went truffle hunting, and it was awesome. I'm like, I really want to do this again. I led a retreat to Aruba in 2017 and again in 2020. And then just led this Greece retreat last October on the sailboats. And I'm so excited to do it again. My background is that when I was 20, well, I've always loved going to the beach and being near the water. But when I was 20 for a spring break, I went on an outward bounds sailing excursion. It's really like a survival thing in the Florida Keys. And I learned how to sail, how to navigate. And it was on a boat with no toilet. It was just, we were rowing or we were sailing, and all of our stuff was in like a bag, like a duffel bag, not a duffel bag, but like a big plastic bag that we sat above. We spread out the oars. We slept on the oars in our sleeping bags, and we looked at the stars. And we did that for a week. And I just really thought I was hooked. I was really into it. I thought it was beautiful. It really got me out of my head. I love being in nature. And then fast forward a bit, in my late 20s, mid 20s, late 20s, I crewed on a boat at in the Caribbean for the Ritz-Carlton in the USVI, and I sailed some monohulls in St. John as well for like 4 years. I was a crewmate. So I love doing that. I love being on the water. I love being on boats. And so when my friend Laurel, who told me about this and is helping me put together the Sicily retreat, that's all she does is put yoga retreats together around the world. She's just coming back from Spain. She's like, you need to do this. You would love it. You're going to have a great time. She told me all about it. I went with her in 2021. I was like, sign me up. I want to do this again. And we had 20 people come in 2022 last October, and they had a blast. It really is unlike any other trip that I've ever been on. Because we have the smaller boats, we can go to places that like a large boat might not fit. Or if you try to do this yourself, it might be kind of complicated to figure out exactly all of the schedules for the ferries and whatnot, or there might not be a ferry, and you might have to schedule or charter an entire boat yourself, which would cost a whole lot more money. So I think this is the perfect retreat for someone who loves being on the water, loves sailing, loves being on the sea, and wants to experience sort of like a quieter way to explore Greece. We go to tiny villages. We pull up into bays where we're like the only people. It won't be crowded. And we have a staff that has handpicked all these places for us to explore together. This started, the company is called Get Lost, and it started as a company that was like in a university setting where they were taking students out on sailboats to teach them about ecology and history and navigation and what's the other name? Mythology of Greece. So they were having like that full experience. And then one of the professors at the university they were working with was a yoga instructor. And she was like, we should try this as a yoga retreat. And that kind of is how this formed. So all of the crew are Greek. The captains have a lot of experience. And on each boat is one crew person and one captain. The crew is called the host, and they help make the food, and they help keep the boat clean, and they help the captain dock the boat or drop the anchor or pull up and help navigate and keep us safe. And the manager, Angeliki, that we'll be working with helps to book the marinas, make sure we have gas and electricity, make sure that we pay attention to the weather and we go places that are the safest and make the most sense for us. She contacts all the restaurants where we're going to stop and have food. Sometimes we have food on the boat. Sometimes we pull up and we eat all together. And the first trip that I led, it was all inclusive for every meal. So every meal we were all together. And I said, you know, it'd be nice if we had a couple nights where we just kind of meandered around and checked out places by ourselves in a smaller setting. So this time around, we're doing that. Also, this is 6 nights on the boat, and the last night will be in a hotel where we'll have the farewell dinner because a lot of people sort of scattered to the wind and they were all over the place. So now we'll be all together and we can do the shuttle very easily if you want to leave the next day. And we'll also have an opportunity to take a nice hot long shower and sleep in a big old bed and then have a nice meal and not have to worry about Ubering somewhere else, would be where we're going to stay. So I think that's going to work out really great for this trip. I wanted to go over there's like a brochure that lists out the information about the islands and some of the itinerary of what we're going to do. It's older, so it says things that we're not going to do because we'll be 6 nights on the boat, not 7. So just ignore that part. So I'm going to screen share if I can try to do this screen share. And we're going to do this. So like that. I'm going to unmute you. I'm going to ask to unmute you. Can you see this, Mary?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Okay, cool. So this is put together by Angeliki at Get Lost. And again, it's not 100% accurate, but 99% accurate. So these are some of the pictures of what we'll see, what we'll do when we're in Greece. And let's start at the top. I was all the way at the bottom. Look, here's what we're going to do. Get to the top. Here you go. So they have stand-up paddleboards and they have snorkel gear for us. They also have a sub-wing, which you can hold on to and kind of like go through the water. Okay, next page. So this is a bucket list adventure. You're never going to be on something like this exactly on your own. We float around in flotilla, so there'll be 4 or 5 boats depending on how the numbers fall on the boats. The boats will have 4 per 4 guests per sailboat, or up to 8, and each one has 2 crew. So you're either going to have 6 people on a boat, or you can have up to 10 people on a boat. And I'll go over the boat situation a little bit later. So we are sailing through the Aegean Sea, and most days we'll be waking up, having breakfast, and swimming, and maybe having yoga, or waking up, having yoga, and then breakfast on board, hanging out and swimming, and then going to explore a village or go for a hike. Or there's one island that has a cave that we can go to too. Sometimes we'll be going, we can take like a bus into the center of the island where the main towns are. And I'll tell you about that a little bit. And usually we go to 3 or 4, depending on the weather, islands. They are called Kythnos, Seriphos, Sifnos, and Kia. And the Cyclades are, or the Cycladic Islands, or the Cyclades, depending on who you talk to, that's how they'll say it. It's a circle. So Mykonos and Santorini are kind of on the eastern side. These are more like southwestern, closer to Athens. Those are the islands we usually are going to go to. If the weather is bad, we have a backup plan, and then we have a backup plan for the backup plan. So don't worry, whatever we do, you're going to have a great time. You're going to see some amazing things, eat some wonderful food, drink some nice wine if you drink, and explore crystal clear waters, go swimming every day, and have some really great Pilates and yoga every day. Here's a picture or a map of where we'll be, where Achaia, Kythnos, Seriphos, and Sifnos are. And again, it's like a circle. So you'll have Santorini and Mykonos kind of on this side. And then we'll be over here. And we fly into Athens, which is here. And it takes about 5 hours or so to get to our first destination if we go to what we plan to do. When we meet, we'll meet at 5 o'clock at the marina and then get underway. And we have like sort of a late dinner on board. I fell asleep because I was on a red eye the first time. But it was beautiful when I woke up. We were like right underneath this huge temple of Poseidon. It was all lit up, and we moored the boat out there. So where we'll go, Kythnos. So our first destination, traditional, hospitable mountainous island characterized by cycladic scenery. Small villages are built according to traditional architecture. There's those paved alleys, white houses. They're whitewashed with the blue. Remember, like it's kind of traditional Greek. And then we go to Sifnos, and there's again the whitewashed houses, and there's over 300 churches in Sifnos, so they'll to pray there, and dovecotes where they either like house birds to feed or to gather and eat. So it could go either way. And there's a lot of pottery places. There's some great bakeries, gelato, that kind of thing to explore while we're there. It's just kind of nice to like wander around. Okay, and Seriphos in Greek mythology is where the birthplace of Perseus, the hero who killed Medusa, and it's where the Cyclops were said to have lived. Seriphos is raw and rugged, and it has steep mountains plunging into very crystal clear waters and beautiful bays. Kia is also has these like cliffs and beautiful coastlines, fertile valleys, orchards, olive groves, oak trees, and again, old churches, ancient architecture, and it's just amazingly beautiful. This is the last place we go has this ruins of a temple and an amphitheater, and we practiced yoga there and kind of hung out and moored the boat in the bay. It was really, really pretty. And this is kind of like what you'll see while we're wandering around. On the first day, there's an airport pickup, and then this trip used to include an Acropolis tour, but we took that out because it was like kind of too much, and then a lunch. So not doing any of that. We're picking you up, and then we're going to meet at the marina and take off around 5 from there. If we pick you up from the airport at 1, you have a chance to like hang out. There's a bar restaurant across from where the boats leave, so you can hang out there and have a drink, relax, have an app, and then get on the boats if you like. And then we'll take you to the first place, which is right underneath the Poseidon Temple. And we'll have dinner underway or once we land. The second day on Sunday, we're going to Keithnos and staying at Mauritius Marina. And from what I remember, we can walk up a hill and over, and there's a beach where we can do the yoga. And then there's also another place that's a little bit higher up where we can practice as well. I believe that also like some of the other groups did it right on the dock. There's a huge like concrete dock that we can do that. And it's an easy walk into town, and there's plenty of restaurants, shops, and cafes to hang out and check out. You can also grab an Uber or a cab to take you into a different part of the town for shopping or hanging and going to the beach. Then the next day, and we have a restaurant that we all go out to there. The next day, Monday, we're going to go to Keithnos and Sifnos, and then we'll have like an offshore mooring there. Well, the first year that I went, we stayed in Keithnos for 2 nights because it was too windy to leave. It was dangerous. So we stayed in, it was awesome. I loved it. Then we're going to Bathy Bay, and we can hang out and go swimming and do paddle boarding, and then do sunset yoga. And then she'll pick out the restaurant for us to go to, and then we'll stay offshore overnight, the mooring. And anytime that you want during the trip, if you want to learn how to sail or take a turn at the helm, they're more than happy to teach you or let you take over and tell you about like how to like watch the sails and keep them in a way so that we can like stay underway. If there's not enough wind, then they also have, engines, and we can power the boat as well. And sometimes we'll be doing both sailing and powering so that we can get to where we need to go. And then sometimes we'll just be sailing. Sometimes we'll just be like motoring. It just all depends on the weather and what our agenda is. On Tuesday, we'll be going to Sifnos and staying at the marina, have a breakfast on board, and then do yoga, Bathy Bay, and then some free times. And then we'll go to Apollonia and have lunch. And then we'll take a hike to a village, and then dinner at a restaurant in one of the towns. So the bus will pick you up and take you to the marina, and then we can hang out on the boat, or you can wander around Sifnos. So really, really fun place to go. And then on Wednesday, we go to Levati Bay, and we stay offshore, and we have a nice breakfast, do some yoga. The boats will take us to where our yoga spot is. And then we can hang out and do some swimming, some paddle boarding, relaxing in the sun. And then we'll do a sunset yoga looking over the bridge. So, and then there's like a teeny tiny restaurant that we go to. It's really, really nice. And then we go to Carthia, and again, our offshore mooring, and look out over Levati Bay. And again, we're just kind of like hanging out. There's one place where we go. Oh, this is where the amphitheater and the temple are. It's so pretty. So we have a yoga session there. And the last time we did it, we did it while the sun set. It was just like magical. It was so pretty. And then we do dinner on the beach by a bonfire and then hang out. And then the next day we'll be doing yoga by the temple near the amphitheater, and then taking off for Athens. When we get to Athens, we'll head over to the hotel where we'll check in and then have a nice meal for our farewell dinner. And everyone's free to maybe stay a few days and check out Athens. I highly recommend the Acropolis Museum. Was pretty amazing. That's worth going to. And if you do go early, go before 10, because it's like a big wall of people, like a massive wave of people washes into the Acropolis Museum after 10 o'clock. Okay, a little bit about the boats. The boats are 45 to 50 feet long. She rents the boat, so it's hard to say what we're going to get. We try to keep them the same and the same amenities. Everything that you need is on there. She'll give you 2 towels for the week. And if you need something else, you can talk to Angeliki about that. The yoga mats are provided. The blocks are provided. I brought 9-inch balls that are inflatable and stretchy bands to use to keep it so that we had extra toys to play with. Because I like to play with toys in a yoga class or a Pilates class. And the way we structure the classes, I usually do half and half, like a little bit of Pilates, a little bit of yoga, and you can do as much or as little as you like. I try to keep it in step with the levels of the people who are coming. Some days will be a little easier. Some days will be a little bit harder. The first day we get together, I kind of take a moment to check out how people are responding to the practice. And most of them are feeling like they just want to get unstuck from travel. So first day is pretty mellow, but then we can kind of step it up as we go along. And like I said, it's either going to be 4 people or 8 people on the boat, plus the 2 crew. Hey, is that welcome? Is that my friend Linda?
No, it is Jackie, friend of Martha.
Oh, hey, Jackie. Thanks for joining us.
Hi.
I've been talking a little bit, but I'm recording this. So I'm going to keep talking and I'm going to save the Q&A for the end, if that's okay.
That's perfectly fine.
I'll send you this link to the recording so you can check out all the things that I said. I basically just talked about myself and then gave a little review of the agenda. And then I'm talking about the boats now, and then I'm going to show you a slideshow from my trip in 2021. Sound good?
Continue on. I will catch up. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay, no worries. All right, bye-bye. All right, so we have like 50-foot sailboats, and this is what the insides look like. You can see from this top middle picture, the hole to go down into the under part of the boat is not very big. So you're welcome to bring a big hard suitcase with you, a checked thing, but make sure that you bring something soft inside, like a duffel bag, to put all your stuff in, because it will not fit down into the cabin area. So they take the hard cases and they put them in storage while we're underway and while we're on the boats. But just be sure to take a note there to bring some soft bags, duffel bags, pack everything in cubes so you can easily take it out and get it on the boat. And then you'll get your suitcase, your hard case at the end. And this is what it looks like inside for most of the boats. So we have our dining area, we have our kitchen. Off to the kitchen is like a double bed kind of situation for the crew. That's where they stay. In the back of the boat are 2 cabins. In the front of the boat are 2 cabins. The cabins in the front have ensuite bathrooms. The cabins in the back share a bathroom. So the shared ones in the back will mean that you have to come out of your cabin to come to the bathroom and go back in. And the people in the back also share their bathroom with the 2 crew members, the captain and the host. Right. And the cabins are basically a bed. And then you have a small area to stand in to get into your closet. And then there's some shelving around. So you don't want to bring a lot. You're not going to bring a hair dryer. You're not going to do your hair. You're not going to spend a lot of time on your makeup because it's very windy and there's no point in doing your hair. And keep in mind too, that your shower is the faucet of the bathroom sink. So you'll be using the faucet to keep yourself clean the whole time that we're underway. It's not like a cruise ship where you have lots of space and a full-size bath. It's very different. I just like to put it out there so everyone's expectations are met and they don't get disappointed when they get there. If you've had spent time on a boat, you know this already, but I just like to say it again and emphasize it so no one has any weird surprises once we get there. All right, so that's what the cabins look like. And what's included in our trip? It's 7 nights accommodation. So 6 will be on the boats and the last will be in a hotel by the marina where we'll have our farewell dinner. And then you can leave and get an airport shuttle from there. We will visit 3 or 4 islands, depending on the weather. That will dictate where we're going to go and how it's going to go and how much time we have in each place. You are going to have a captain and a crew on each boat. They'll give you all the linens and towels that you need. They take care of all of the marinas and the offshore mooring, all the gas, all the electricity, and the fuel marina fees are all included. Most of the meals are included as well, your breakfast, your lunches, most dinners. But I had mentioned this earlier before you jumped in, Jackie, that it felt like a little overwhelming for some people. There's a lot of food when it's all inclusive. So I said it would be kind of nice if we just had a couple nights free to wander around in smaller groups and explore on our own. So that's what we're going to do this time around. We'll have a dinner on board when we first go underway. And then we have a farewell dinner together. And then we'll have a couple meals together for dinner. And then we'll have some free time on our own. Transfers. So we'll pick you up from the airport. I highly recommend that you get to the airport by noon. And then we'll leave to go to the airport probably around 9 o'clock, if I'm remembering properly. If you decide to leave at a different time or stay extra, you'll be on your own to get yourself to the airport. It's not that expensive. And it'll probably take about half hour, 45 minutes, depending on how much traffic there is and what time you leave. Okay, wait, come back. On each boat, we have paddle boards, we have snorkel gear, and a sub-wing, which is something that you hold on to and you kind of get dragged through the water if you're into that. We also have some hikes included in the trip. And oh, and then there's like inflatables on the boat. Like there's a flamingo, I think there's a unicorn, there might be a swan that you can blow up and hang out on as well. And then we do yoga and Pilates every day, sometimes twice a day, depending on our agenda. We do at least one sunset session. I like to do 2, but again, it depends on the weather. It depends on how we have to adapt and change and accommodate the wind and how we're going to go with that. So it could change. I don't want to promise anything. And so here's some more pictures. Here's the flamingo. Here's what it's like to be on the boats. Here's a stand-up paddle boards. Here's what most of the villages we visit have, the whitewashed homes, the bright blue. And this is what it looks like for our flotilla to be all together. Sometimes we'll kind of come together in one big group, but most of the time we're kind of like all over the place. And they have dinghies if you want to travel around and visit people, or you can paddle over to another boat and say hi to other people. All right. So that's the end of that part. I'm going to stop the screen share for a second. And I have one more thing to share with you, but before we do that, unmute. Do either of you have any questions so far about what I went over?
Not what you went at. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Mary, but I think that Jackie's still muted. So I unmuted you. I asked to unmute you, Miss Jackie. And let me see. Asked to unmute. Okay. You have to unmute yourself, Jackie. But Mary, do you have a question for me?
Are there, when you all went before, were there all women? I remember that Steve from our class said he had gone, but are they mostly women?
It's mostly women, but there was 3 men on our trip. So Steve,
oh, really?
Another guy named Steve who came with his wife, and then another guy named Eric who came with his wife. Steve, who you know, is coming to Sicily, and Eric, who you don't know, is coming to Sicily too. So that just says like almost half the people who went with me to Greece are coming with me to Sicily.
Oh,
so
really?
That just says like, I know how
good.
to have a good time and you'll have fun. So yeah. So go ahead.
No, I was just curious about taking, I mean, my husband might want to, I mean, I don't know. He might go. So.
Okay. Yeah, and you could do as much or as little as you want. What happened on the last time, it was like mothers and daughters came, best friends came, and then some people who were like turning 40 got a whole boat. There's 4 of them on one boat by themselves. The couple that was coming, the other Steve and his wife Laura, they were celebrating 40 years of marriage, and they decided to like celebrate on the boat with us. So
Oh,
that was
cool.
kind of fun. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Jackie, do you have any questions?
Assuming these are all keelboat, correct?
I'm not sure what a keelboat is, but it's a
Well, it's not a catamaran. It's a boat with a rudder.
no, it's a
and-
monohull. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so how, I have a captain's license, but for a catamaran. Now,
Mhm.
how much, list is there
Like
to the,
leaning.
yes, because I have a vertigo issue. So
Okay.
that's why I do catamarans. But this, I
Yeah.
didn't know, being, maybe the waters are calmer. I mean, how much is it that you're really on a very big slant while you're,
I would say it depends on your captain, and you could communicate with that person. They were all men. So you can communicate with your captain and ask him to reel in his crazy or like heel it out more. We were almost like sideways at some points because everyone on our boat liked that. And but there was other people who weren't like that, and they were just they were motoring mostly, and their sails weren't up. So when it was like a little bit windier, but everyone on my boat liked that. So it depends. That's
I
my
used to like that before I got vertigo. I
yeah.
used to like that, then I had to
Vertigo is
go
no
to the,
fun. Yeah. There are catamarans available. They're more expensive. I can look into that for you if you're really interested. But when I did it last year and looked into it, or 2 years ago, it was at least $1,000 more per person for the
on a
catamaran.
catamaran. And
Yeah.
plus you would have to have like the 4 people at least.
Yeah. And I would recommend that you like maybe find some friends to do that with, you
Right.
know? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
okay.
So I'm gonna just show you. I'm gonna mute y'all for now because sometimes there's like background noise that happens. So I'm just gonna put you on mute. And then I would like to show you the slideshow. It's about 5 minutes. I tried to again like reel in my crazy and not have it go on forever. Hold on. Desktop. Yeah, share. Desktop. I think this is it. Yeah, here we are. Let's see. Can you see this? Gypsy Adventure Greece 2022. Oh, you guys are muted. Can you give me a thumbs up? Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Let's see if it'll actually work. Come on, Vimeo. Here we go. So this is the trip that I took actually with my friend Laurel leading it. This is not the trip that I led. So this is Keith Knows, the first island that we visited. And this it's like I said, it's windy. So there's no reason to bring a curling iron or a hair dryer. Your hair will get dry really fast and it will be in the wind a lot. So I don't think I have any sound with this, but this is where we practice yoga. It was at the top of a church and it overlooked the bay. It was really beautiful. That's my friend Lorella. She brought her dog. And this is one of the baklava places, bakeries. And this is the chef at one of the local restaurants. That's Angeliki, who is my contact there, the manager of Get Lost, who is the company we work with to put these together. This is another spot that we practice yoga right on the beach. This is a view from one of the hikes we took on one of the islands. And the islands are full of churches. There's one that I mentioned that has about 300 churches on it. This is a local guide that gave us a really in-depth tour and explain the history, the culture, the mythology of some of the places we visited. This was a village that we went into. Most of the villages are in the middle of the islands because that helped protect them from pirates. This is a cave in one of the islands that actually is like you could walk through it. It's humongous. It's lit up. It's not like a cave like we might think of the States as like you got to crawl through it or something. You can actually walk through this. And this is where they would go to hide from pirates and stay safe. This is one of the restaurants that we ate at. Most of the restaurants we go to, we take over because there's so many of us, including the crew. There's like 30 of us plus. Here's Seraphos. And I believe this is the place where there was an old mine Yeah, an old mine. And there was a German guy who lived there in a big house. It's on the other side of this. This is where we practice yoga on the road overlooking the bay where we moored. And there's a bridge in the background where they would use that to help move all the things that they were mining. And this is us leaving our restaurant. Here's the restaurant that we went to for lunch. I just swam over to this one. It was really fun. It's beautiful. It's still warm in October there. And here we are just hanging out. Here's my captain, Yanis. He was a captain for both of the trips that I went on. And again, this is what most of the places that we explored look like: the whitewashed walls, the blue painted doors and windows. Kind of steep, different from Cape May where we have like no hills. You'll definitely get your steps in here. We were lucky that there was a full moon. This is my friend Laurel who helped me put this trip together. And that's just some of the people that went on the trip with us. And then here's Kia, one of the other islands that we visited. It's absolutely gorgeous. And this is the one that has the amphitheater and the temple that we practice yoga on. And it's just a beautiful bay to swim in and paddleboard and just relax and hang in. Most of the places that we practice yoga, they're all outside. Some of them are on the road. Some of them are like this on the dirt, and some of them are on the beach. It's absolutely like stunning, gorgeous. And then we just went down back here. The dinghies met us and we went back out. And there was like this old abandoned building with this guy and a donkey, like randomly at the one place. Here's the amphitheater that we practice yoga at. One of the last days. And you can see like there's nobody around. So it's very peaceful. It's very quiet. It's non-touristy. And you really get like a sense of Greek culture. When we are in the villages, we get to speak with people and authentic Greek food. And you really don't need to bring a lot of, I like less is more when we were on this trip too. So I brought like sneakers and flip-flops, and that was all the shoes that I brought. Because we don't have a lot of space on the boat. It's not about bringing a lot of things. It's about like being outside, being in nature, swimming, being under in the sea, taking in the sunshine. And this is like where we go down. And here is Yanis and Joris. And this was I went the first time. I didn't know anybody. Everyone on my boat was in the medical profession. I felt very safe because it's still COVID times. And so there's time to hang out on top and just read a book if you wanted to do that. There's time for you to swim in the water and also to enjoy a glass of wine or beer. And again, nice authentic Greek food. Some of it's made on the boat. And this is the last night. This was our farewell dinner in Athens at the marina. And that's it. So I'm going to take that down, stop the screen share. And that's kind of it for my presentation. If you have any questions specific to it and you want to jump in and ask, now's the time. Now's the time. Hit it.
One question. What
Sure.
is the sail time between the islands?
Again, it depends. So when we land in Athens and we leave, it takes 5 hours or so to get to our first destination. And then each day we're probably underway like 2 or 3 hours. But it depends. It depends on the wind. It depends on our agenda, which can be influenced by the weather. And it's very hard to predict, but we'll be sailing for 2 or 3 hours every day. And then the last day and the first day are the long stretches to get back to Athens, about 5 hours.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And also the second trip that I led, we didn't go to any of these islands because it was too windy. It was blowing like 30 knots, so it wasn't safe. So they have like a backup plan and a backup plan for the backup plan. So we went to a different set of islands called the Saronic Islands. And those are Idra, Metopi, Poros, and I want to call it, I can't say it right. It's like Agnia. but still like really beautiful. We visited a bunch of temples, and Hydra or Hydra, some people call it that. It's just there's no cars, so it's all donkeys and cats. So you just walk around. Really beautiful though.
How
Very
much
cool.
free time is built in? I'm sorry, Mary.
No, that's okay.
No, no. I said,
So usually we'll get up, do the practice, like some sort of movement practice. I like to do it, mix it up, half and half, Pilates and yoga. That's usually around 8 o'clock, 8 to 9. They'll have breakfast on board. You have a little free time. And then if we're pulling up the anchor and going somewhere else, then we get it all together and go underway. If we have free time to hang out and swim and play with the paddle boards, then we'll do that and then head out to the next place. If we have like a scheduled activity, like we have a guide that will take us on a hike at one of the places, then that kind of will influence the way the day goes. And sometimes we'll do yoga in the evening when the sun is setting, so then we'll have dinner after that, and you might have free time between, like lunch and when we do the sunset yoga. It all depends. So like you have to be kind of flexible when you're on this kind of trip because it's so weather dependent.
Just be flexible anytime you sail.
Yeah, I feel like for me it was a great blend of like being on the water and sailing, having some downtime, like just sitting up top and like watching the sea, and like you could read while you're up there and just relax or journal, and then having time to walk around the villages and explore, and or go shopping or check out like a restaurant in town or have a coffee, and organize activities of the hike, the guided tour, the cave, the walking around the ancient ruins and learning about the different gods and the ruins of the temples that we saw. So I feel like there's a good mix, a good blend. I hope that's helpful.
No, it's great.
how strenuous are some of the hikes and stuff like that? I mean, I think I'm not really thinking about myself. I'm thinking about somebody who might come with me.
I think that the one hike that we did that was to a couple of temples the first time I went, that was kind of long. It was probably like over an hour of hiking, and it was a little dry and a little sunny, but it wasn't like super strenuous where you're like going straight up, but it wasn't paved, so there's like a dirt path. Some places we had to like kind of scramble over some things, but in my opinion, it wasn't like super challenging, difficult. Like, let's say you were in like, I don't know, Central California where you have to scramble over boulders and stuff like that. It was pretty steady. If you're going up, it's a pretty steady climb. And then the trip that I led the first day that we went to do the yoga practice, we went on a hike that was like a half hour, and that was kind of steep. And I think people thought like the whole entire trip was going to be like that. So like the next time we were like exploring to find a yoga place, they're like, how long is this hike going to be? Most of the time it was like a 5-minute walk or a 10-minute walk. It wasn't like a crazy hike. And when we were doing it, we took breaks. Like we went up and then we took a little break. We drank some water and then we went up a little further. And it wasn't crazy.
That sounds good. Okay.
Yeah. And they're all optional. And if you have questions, the people on the boats and the people who grew up there and do this for a living all the time, they're better suited to say like, hey, I'm wondering how strenuous the hike would be. Is it going to be okay for me? Yeah. But there was none that were like super crazy.
Okay.
Yeah. The only thing that's not included is your airfare. And you can buy alcohol in the villages and the towns and bring them on the boats if you like. Most of the dinners will include at least a glass of wine. They'll have wine on the table. But it's up to you if you want to explore and bring your own. Most people just bought their own and had fun trying to figure out what kind of wine to buy because it's all Greek. It's all in Greek, you don't know what you're buying. So yours looks like a crapshoot. But Angelique's pretty good at recommending certain wines, and you could always ask. Most of the places we went, people spoke English too, and they were really like quite kind if they if they didn't, to help you. So,
All right. Sounds good.
all right. Yeah. Do you have any questions for me, Jackie?
No, I think that's good. I have a lot of thinking to do.
Okay. Well, you can always reach out to me on like Facebook Messenger or through the studio number, which is 609-884-3001.
I know where you are.
Okay. You can always knock on the door there. Hello.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
questions for you.
Yeah,
So,
Jesse.
okay. So if you put your deposit down, the deposit is $1,000. If you do it before the end of this month, you get $150 off. The deposit is non-refundable, and then the first payment is due February 1st, and then the last payment is due, I think it's a July 1st, like 2 months before we leave. Maybe it's August 1st. I should look that up. But it's not like the last day, because I need to do the wire transfer and make sure it goes through and that she gets her money. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you for joining me. Thanks, Mary.
Okay.
Guys.
Take
All
care.
right.
All right,
Thanks,
nice to meet you, Jackie.
Okay, talk to you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.